What up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's Nasty Nate, and today I got a video requested on my IG about the bike, how it's set up, every part that I have, why I picked all the parts that I have, and kind of just a breakdown of, you know, why we have the things on these bikes that we do have on them. So I'm gonna jump straight in. One thing I do want to say is I'm going to be going over every part on this bike, and I'm going to give you guys a little price breakdown at the end too about, you know, how much it's going to cost you to set up a stunt bike, how much it's going to cost you to get in this game. So let's just jump right into it, man. So I got the bike right here. Let's start off with what I think is the most important thing. Your cage is the best part that you can have on your bike because of the fact that it's going to protect the bike from crashes. It's going to protect the bike when you go down. It's going to make sure you don't bust up your motor or anything like that. Okay, so cage is number one. I got a sub cage here. This is an Rsc adjustable sub cage. Okay, the one thing that I really like about the Rsc sub cage is the fact that these pegs right here are these super hard plastic, and I've never actually bent the cage. The only thing that's ever happened is I bent the bolt on the inside. That bolt's in the back of here. I replaced the bolt, and the peg itself was still good. So you can just get these as a replacement when they start to get tore up, like these ones are right here. Handbrake bracket. This handbrake bracket is by NDC Customs. The reason I run this bracket specifically is because it has the stock rotor attachments, and you don't have to do any kind of pad trimming or anything like that, because I believe on the Hohei bracket, using the stock rotor, you have to trim your pads, and it's not something I want to continue to do all the time. So 12 bar here. This is by Mason Bars. I believe Mason Bars was the first person to do the bolts in the back like that, so when you never get to the point where you can't actually get the piece of titanium off there, because I know that there's guys that are still dealing with that right now. So this is titanium by Rob Stunts, and he's got the biggest blocks. The block that I used to have only covered right here, the 12 bar itself, and this one goes about a looks like a quarter or a half inch out on each side. So these are huge pieces of titanium, last super long, you get super good spark out of it. So I love that titanium. Seat, I prefer the HT Moto seat. Unfortunately, I hear that they're not making seats anymore, but I'm not super sure about that. I heard some people saying other things, so I don't know. But anyways, I went without one of these. This is not necessary. I went without one for about the first 4 years that I rode, and I've had this for the last couple. The reason I like it is because in the Northwest where I live, it rains a lot, and I have slipped off my seat multiple times. So I got this. It has the gripper seat. There's no buildup. There's no hard foam. It's literally just a stock seat with the cover on it. So those are big if you ride somewhere where it tends to rain a lot. Let's go tank. Okay, this is a graveyard custom tank. Any kind of tank tricks you're going to be doing, you can always do an O-Town dent, which is a stock tank dented in with the hammer. I ran one of those for a long time. It got to a point where I was like, hey, you know, I want to start doing some different tricks and leveling up and jumping around a little more and seeing if I get a little more height on the bike. And the stock dent, that lip wasn't doing it for me. Up here in the front, I've got Rsc Clip-Ons. These are adjustable clip-ons. I've ran these and other Rsc products, the lever, the bars, and the sub cage ever since I started riding. And now that he sponsors me, you know, I have great support from him. But you know, it's great to work with a company that I was buying their products even before that I got sponsored. So that's awesome. But I love these bars. Adjustability, this right here that attaches to the fork, this can go out, this can go all the way over here, this can spin all the way around. So if you need to bring them really close to the tank, I've seen a couple people doing that. I don't recommend it because they will bash into your tank, but you can if you need to. These can go up and down, so you have room in the post to move up and down inside there as well. Then you can turn them I have them pretty straight right now, I'd say, but I mean, you can turn these in, you can turn these out, you know, so there's so much adjustability with these, is why I love them. RSC, this is the trigger finger clutch, which I've done a review on that. If you guys want to go check it out, I'll link it there. For the handbrake, the Magura HC1 clutch side master. I was running this master before they sponsored me. Anybody that supports me, I was running their products before I got any kind of hookup. That's why I went with them. I'm a firm believer in, you know, supporting people and, you know, working with people that I would have supported regardless. So the reason I like the HC1 Magura is because it has an on-off feel. So I feel like I get the most pop in my brake jamming style with the Magura. Yes, I used to ride a Brembo. Yes, I used the R1 Brembo that, you know, people suggest. I've used all of those and I like this one the best, even before they were supporting me. So to me, that's a must. In the back here, we've got a 60-tooth sprocket. This is the most common sprocket for, I would say, every stunt bike. But what I will say is that for different bikes, I would suggest try using different sprockets. For the 0304, I think the 60 tooth is money. I think it's perfect for your all-around stunt riding and for the lot. But I would say, do you need a 60 tooth on an F4i? I have no idea. I have no idea how they're geared or, you know, what the motor feels like. For the new gen 0304, I would, for the new gen, the 13 through 20s, I would say that the 60 tooth is going to be too much. It's going to be too twitchy. There's already too much power in that bike. So that's something to think about when you're choosing your gearing if you're going to set up a stunt bike. Let's go, what else? Front end. This, as you'll notice, these forks don't come on an 0304. I have them upgraded for aesthetic purposes only. If I ever plan on going on the front wheel, doing stoppies, I have the option, because these are better forks than the 0304. Those ones tend to give out and they tend to just bend, and they also tend to just snap on people, and I've seen that happen. So I'll never ever run 0304 forks regardless, just because anything happens coming down from a wheelie, I don't want to be in trouble. And then here, you definitely need a radiator cage. There's tabs right here. Hopefully you can see them. There's tabs right here on your radiator that will 100% bust off if you are doing wheelies over and over and over, and they'll tear this right here all the way across, and your radiator won't mount up. So it's always super necessary to have a radiator support when you have a stunt bike. Here, down here, this isn't really a necessary product, but I really love the Rsc Exhaust. It gets everything out of the way. I don't like the exhaust hanging up here. For me, like everybody knows, I crash so much that there is a possibility that there's an exhaust hanging right here. It's gonna catch on the ground. It's gonna get ripped off, almost guaranteed with me and how often I go down. So I don't really like a long exhaust. I prefer the Rsc shorty exhaust. Like I said, I was running all of these products before I was supported by them, so great to have, you know, a company. And as far as the cage goes, I'm not sponsored by Impact Tech, but I have been running Impact Tech ever since I started. And like I said, you guys see me go down, you see my bikes always make it through. Impact Tech is #1 in my opinion for cages, and man, that's about it, y'all. So that's what it takes to set up a stunt bike. You got a lot of parts here, but if you are just starting, by no means go out and buy every single one of these parts. There's so many things that you can do. You can buy used parts. I believe, and I tell people this all the time that ask me what it takes to get into stunt riding. Can you help me out? Get a bike and buy a cage, because you might eat the concrete one time and be done. I've seen it so many times in this game where dudes get all hyped up. They spend $2,500 to $3,000 on a bike. They spend another $2,500 in parts, because if you buy all these parts brand new from the people that make them and don't get any kind of discounts, don't have any kind of sponsorships, you will spend an extra $2,500 setting up one of these bikes. If you buy a steel frame, you're spending even more. So before you go out and drop $6,500 on something that you might not even know that you like or not, please get the bike, tear it all down to Street Fighter, which is what you see right here. Get a cage and start to practice. You don't need any other things to set up your bike. Balance point's not gonna come any easier if you have an HT Moto seat. Balance point's not gonna come any easier if you have a handbrake. Please figure out if wheelies are for you, if stunt riding is for you, before you go out and spend all this money and waste all of it. And I'm telling you, fully set up stunt bikes, regardless of what you see on Facebook Marketplace, what people are asking for them, this bike I would list for 3,500 bucks. By the time I swap the motors and replace broken parts multiple times, I got 8 G's into this thing. I'm gonna lose so much money on this bike if I sell it. So don't go in, don't get all hyped up. Don't buy everything that you see right here if you're just starting. And actually, one thing that I will suggest, buy a cage, take the fairings off, and get a 12 bar, because you're probably gonna loop it and you wanna save your subframe and your tail and everything. If you're gonna leave it on, like I said, I suggest taking all of those off. But find out if it's for you before you go out and do something like this. So I need to go back and figure out who actually requested that I do this video so I can tag them in here. But like, subscribe, comment, and hit me up on Instagram. I'll post my Instagram. It's always in the description section below here. And if I can do a video for you guys, if you have something that you want me to do, I've got a couple riding tutorials that I need to do that have been suggested and that have been requested. So I'm gonna do those here soon. I'll see you guys in the next one.